It's ID Sparks Maid, and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time stopping by, thank you for stopping. Let's get straight to it. So for that outfit you just saw right there, I used a 2 yards of fabric for it. Yeah, I used a velvet material to make that dress. So I went ahead to make my skirt pattern. My bust measurement is 38 and a half. My waist is 30, my hip is 39. So that was the measurement I worked with for those that are interested in knowing. And then another thing I would love to mention is that my ruched skirt isn't so ruched because of the quantity of fabric I had. So since I was managing my material, I didn't have the fullness I should get on my ruched skirt. So for this skirt length, I used 40 inches long for my skirt length with an elastic of 20 inches. That's for my ruching. But I would advise that you use an elastic of 20 inches for a length of, let's say, 55 or 50 if you really need that ruch effect. Okay, yes. And then this velvet was really light. Was really light. So now for the basic bodies, I went ahead to do my normal basic bodies. The tutorial on these basic bodies is on my channel. Okay, so you can please go and watch it. But then I'll just rush up this. So I went ahead to take my shoulder, which was 7.7 inches, with the neck width of 3, and then I created a slope coming down by 1 inches from where my shoulder stops. Then I went ahead to get my armhole line by doing bust divided by 6 plus 1.5, which I had 7.8 inches. Yes, so I went ahead to connect that line. That's what we have there. Then my shoulder to waistline is 17 and a half, and this is what I got here. So I went ahead to connect this line. Now at the end of this class, you should be able to create this neckline. I got the inspiration from Veekee James. I would attach the picture to the picture is attached to the thumbnail. Okay, so I got the inspiration from Veekee James' dress, the neckline. I don't know what it is actually called, but it was giving everything it should give. So yeah, I went ahead to connect my bust to my waist and then create my armhole curve. Okay, so after doing this, I'll go ahead and create my neckline. So I used 3 inches by 3 inches. So my width and depth is 3 inches by 3 inches. Okay, so I'll go ahead and use my curved ruler and get that round curve like so. So this is what it looks like. Okay, please, if this is your first time joining, do well to subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate. So now I went ahead to remember that this bodice is just for the front and it's on fold. Please don't forget that this particular bodice, this front bodice, is on fold. That means that it has both the back and the front on it because of the neckline. So after cutting out the front bodies, this is what it looks like. So I had to remember, I said that we have the front and the back, so I went ahead to label the right and the left. So yeah, this is my right and this is my left. So after doing this, I went ahead to come down from my slope shoulder by 4 inches and then come in by 3 inches to achieve this neckline. So now I'm going to create an angle from that 2 inches connected to my original neck width. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Then I'm going to still do the same connection with my very curve down to the other left side of my neck line. Okay, so this is what it should look like when you are done. Voila. So you see why I had to work with my front bodies on fold so I could achieve this neckline. Okay, so I went ahead to cut it out. So this is what it looks like. Now you can leave it straight as it should, or you can just curve it in a bit like I did here. So it's all optional. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you are done. Now after this, I went ahead to draft my back bodies. So this is what I did. So I did the back bodies off camera. This is what it looks like. I've snatched the back a bit so the back doesn't bulge. So that was why I have it taped down. So now if you can look at the fabric, it's really stretchy. So when transferring my patterns to my fabric, I did not add any sewing allowance on it. Instead, I'm using my original measurement, and I'm going to take out from it. So you can tell that I just cut everything out without any allowance on it, apart from the joining allowance on the upper part of the skirt, and then the hemming allowance on the down part of the skirt. Then for the zip allowance, of course, I went ahead to add allowance to my zip area. So this is what it looks like. So now for your for this skirt, number one, my ruch wasn't full enough because the fabric was limited. Remember, I worked with a 2 yards velvet fabric. The fabric was not plenty. The quantity was really limited. Also, the fabric too was so stretchy. It didn't give me that fitting I needed, but it was good because the material was not really ruched. Like the fullness of the skirt wasn't there, so it was okay. The fitting was okay by me. Okay, so I went ahead. I already have a sleeve pattern that I usually work with, so I went ahead to just place the pattern on my fabric, and then I cut out my sleeves. So for this sleeve pattern, I had to add half an inch, which I still sewed in, but on the my wrist area, I didn't sew in everything because the feathers I put on it actually reduced the stretchiness around that part. Okay, so then I went ahead to transfer my front bodies to the fabric like so. I went ahead to pin everywhere. I pinned everywhere, all around, well pinned, and then added half an inch allowance down for my joining allowance, added 1 inch allowance to the side, and then I did not add any allowance to the upper bodies, which is the bust area, because of the stretchiness of this fabric. Like I said, the fabric was really stretchy. Now I would advise you to do the same if you're not sure of how stretchy your fabric is. If you're working with a crepe fabric or any other fabric that isn't so stretchy, I think you can still go ahead and add your sewing allowance. But for me, like, this fabric was just too stretchy, so I couldn't help but add no allowance to it. Okay, so now for this neckline, I'm working with a 3-inch neckline. Now, in a way that by the time I sew, it will drop down to 3.5 or 3.3. Okay, depends on how many inches I hold while sewing. So that's why I didn't add any allowance to my neck area while cutting. Okay, so this is my back bodies. I went ahead to add sewing allowance on the shoulders. I went ahead to cut out my facing for both my front and my back bodies. Please do well to subscribe to my channel. It will mean a lot to me. Do well to like. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you so much for just coming to look at my video. It means a lot to me. And my first timers, you are highly welcome. I really do my best to put out good content here. So please do well to follow me. Thank you. Okay, so this is what my front looks like after cutting my facing. And this is what it should look like. So you can allow your facing cover up everywhere, or like shoulder to shoulder and just cover up everywhere. But this was just what I did for myself because the dress belonged to me. So those plenty serere, I wasn't really looking for that. So for the sewing part, sorry, the video had to change to this horizontal, a bit vertical line. It wasn't a full screen because I wasn't even aware when my phone tilted to this corner. So you just bear with me, thank you. So for the front bodies, I went ahead to join the facing with a hemming gum. So now this hemming gum is going to help this blouse, the top part. It's going to help the neck area to sit very well on it. Like by the time I turn it over, it will be really flat. So I went ahead to sew round my hemming gum all around, and after doing that, I went ahead to nudge the neck area. Okay, so you just go ahead, sew both the front neckline facing to neckline facing to the neckline that you have with you. So this is my facing and this is my front neck. So after getting it, I'll go ahead and nudge everywhere. Remember that small little V line, you'd be very careful so that your scissors doesn't pass through it. So yeah, that's what I did here. So I went ahead to nudge everywhere, nudged it really well without penetrating through my stitch, and then I went ahead to sew the back bodies. So now this is me sewing the back bodies. So I trimmed off that excess and went ahead to sew. Okay, so I went ahead to put my darts. Next thing I did was to fix my darts on my bodies, both the skirt part, both the top parts, and then I went ahead to iron it. So now this is what the ironed bodies looks like. So now I'm going to go ahead and join it to my skirt. So the front to the front of the skirts, the front bodies to the front bodies of the skirts, and then the back bodies to the back bodies of the skirts. So I went ahead to pin it because this fabric was really shaky, like really shaky. I think this is the one they call akwoche because this velvet was not just velveting. I ordered the fabric, so I wasn't able to feel it or see it till it arrived. So yeah, I went ahead to join the waist to the front skirt to front top, and then I did the same thing for the back. I joined the back to the back of the skirt to the back of the top, and then both left and the right side together, like so. So when all that is done, I went ahead to shape my dress. So I went ahead to shape it by using, I think this is about 0.7 inches. So instead of 0.5, I used 0.7 inches. I shaped both sides. Really all the way down, and then I went ahead to weave everywhere. I went ahead to whip everywhere. So now this is the part where I'll be showing you how I did my ruched area. Remember, my ruched isn't so full, and I gave you the trick for getting a fuller ruched. So for a length of, let's say you need a 3/4 length, you can use a skirt length of about 55 or 60 for that very full effect. I would say 55 though, 60 may be too long. Then elastic of 20 inches. So I went ahead from the waist side and fixed in my elastic, and then I top stitched that part. So after top stitching that part, I went ahead to sew all the way down, pushing my elastic inside that channel that I'm creating right now. I went ahead to stitch on the whipped area, that's the closed mouth, all the way down. Okay, please take note that I did not. I'm sure there are several other methods, but this method works for me when it comes to fixing an elastic all the way down. I know that there are methods where you use an office pin, right? Is it an office pin? A pin, and then you pass the elastic through. Yes, it still works very fine, but for this method it was really easy to work with. I just joined from the waistline, top stitched it, and then at the end I also top stitched the elastic so it doesn't move. Okay, and then when all that is done, I went ahead to join the shoulder to the shoulder. So each shoulder to each shoulder, I used the back facing to turn the front shoulders and the back shoulders, everything together. Okay, so it's helped me, it did a cover up for me, let me use that word. So I used my back facing to turn my shoulder like so, and then same thing for the other side of the shoulder. Okay, please do well to like my video, do well to subscribe, do well to share it with someone that you think might need a tutorial on this neckline especially, and do well to subscribe. Thank you. So now when all of that is done, my dress is like 70% ready. I'll go ahead and attach my sleeves. Now for my sleeves, I used these stocky feathers according to the seller. I bought it at my local store for 1,300 naira. So this is what it looks like. So I went ahead to join my sleeves to my armhole, and then I fixed my zip, and voila, the dress is ready. So this is the neckline, okay, and this is how ruched my skirt is. You could tell that it's not so full, like it's not full at all, but it gave that ruched effect. Okay, and then this is what the feathers looks like, and then the sides of the ruch. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate. Bye.